Now, with me on the line from LA is Wells Fargo Securities senior tech analyst Jason Maynard. Jason, you just came off that Google's earnings call with the analyst again. What did you hear? You've had an outperformed stance on this stock since 2010. Convincing call, clearly.
Yeah, I think Google put up some numbers tonight that actually gave a lot of hope for investors, because what we saw was not only the core search business doing well, but you're really seeing things like YouTube, Android monetization, and even some early signs that their local products are starting to take off. And so I think that makes investors feel a lot better that they are more than a one-trick pony. Google Plus, which just came out, is also looking like it's a lot better than we expected. So there are signs of hope in Google land.
I mean, overall, it seems from my research and talking to investors earlier on today that it seems that everyone's quite surprised and quite pleased by exactly how much Google beat the street. It was such a big number, wasn't it?
Yeah, the quarter was actually previewed pretty negatively by most people. I mean, and I think there were a couple drivers here. One is the monetization of Android is something that's very difficult for most folks to get their arms around. But Google is making money off of both paid clicks through searching on mobile phones and display ads. And that business, we calculate, is roughly probably at a $1.5 billion run rate right now. And so a lot of folks, I don't think, have fully grokked how much of a contributor that's becoming to the overall business. And so Google's a little bit trickier now, because you just don't focus on one product. And so you can miss some of these new products that have a lot of momentum, and they're finally contributing and paying off on the revenue line.
Jason, you mentioned Google Plus. Clearly one of the big rivals is Facebook, but it seems that Google Plus is now just gradually gaining pace, isn't it, really, on Facebook?
Look, it's only been out for 2 weeks, so I don't think, Facebook's 750 million users. Google said on the call they have 10, so they only have 740 million more to go. But I think it's fair to say we all had low expectations after Buzz and Wave were kind of failures. Google Plus looks good, and I think for Google to have a product that I think most people are generally pleased with, they think the sharing mechanisms are actually nice, I think it gives a lot of hope, because if you think about the assets and the services that Google has, there's no reason why people won't use Google Plus. So I think this takes a little bit of the fear off the table and can maybe help the multiple and get the stock back, over $600 again pretty soon.
Do you give a lot of credit, Jason, to Larry Page taking it from Eric Schmidt, or is that not really relevant?
So I'm actually a big fan of the management change, and it's no disrespect to Eric Schmidt, but I think tech companies work best when you have product-driven founders leading the charge. And I think, if anything, Google got too slow. And Larry Page should bring back a level of product focus and, brutal dictatorial execution, if you will, from a development standpoint. And that's what Google needs. I mean, they need to move fast. I mean, Facebook, Twitter, everything that's going on in the social space is not going to wait around for multiple layers of bureaucracy at Google to figure out what they want to do next. So I think it's a positive that you have a product-driven CEO in charge of the company.
Jason Maynard there. Many thanks indeed for joining us from Wells Fargo Securities on the Google. Just coming off the Google analyst call.